MTJAMS, the More Than Just a Movie show where we break down classic Black films. We are in season 4, Leroy.
I know, right? Where that come from? How we do that?
I know up. We're finishing up season 4. So this is the last month of season 4, and then in July we start with season 5.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
And this all started from our love of the same classic Black films. Our first show we ever did was Love Jones, and we didn't stop after that. So if you're watching on YouTube or Instagram, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and go to the playlist, the More Than Just a Movie playlist. I'm sure we did your favorite movie. And if you don't see it on there, when we first started, we would play clips of the movies, and it got copywritten and
Trust me, if we haven't done it, it don't exist. I promise you, y'all.
right, exactly. If you don't see it on our playlist, we did it, but we were probably violating some type of copyright because we used to show clips of the movie. So we haven't done that in a long time because we learned quick.
Yeah, and here's the crazy thing, and you might know more about this than I do. TikTok allows you to be able to, you know how they allow you to play songs and stuff like that. You do to me, you can do longer stuff on TikTok, and I'm not understanding how that works out. You know what I'm saying?
Because they've licensed certain songs, and certain songs you only get a minute. Certain songs you get
Right.
30 seconds.
30 seconds or 45. Yeah.
Right. So that's what they licensed that. But when we were doing clips, we didn't own the right to the movie clips. So, we were showing long clips, and certain ones they let go through, and certain ones they was like, they ain't messing with us. They ain't suing us.
But isn't that the same thing with reels though? Aren't reels the same way too? In reels,
because they authorize those. That's why they put them up there for you. But if you say, for instance, take a TikTok video and put it on Reels, and it's the same song, you still want to put it on and then turn the volume down real low so they can see clearly whose song it is and who gets the credit. Yeah. All right, y'all. So this is More Than Just a Movie. Today we're doing, well, let me tell you when we come. So since this is the last month before we go into season 5, because the month of June, that's a holiday month. It's my birthday month. So we take off for the month of June, and then we Leroy and I will talk if we're going to start back in July or August. Typically it's July. We start back, and we're going to start with season 10. But I mean, that's my podcast. My podcast is in season 9, and I'm starting season 10. This is in season 4, and we're starting season 5 in July. So we decided to end season 4 with faith-based movies and inspirational movies. That's what we're going to do in season 4 in this month for More Than Just a Movie. Because we have and this is for the people that are just tuning in for the first time. We've done all the movies that you can think of. We've celebrated Jennifer Lewis. We've celebrated Loretta Devine. We celebrated Spike Lee and Tyler Perry and Eddie Murphy. We spotlighted Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. We have different themes to the shows. And who else did we do? We talked about even Ruth Carter, who was the first Black woman to win an Oscar for wardrobing, right? We even celebrated her. Who else did we celebrate?
Denzel, Angela Bassett. Exactly. You know who we haven't done that maybe we'll say for next season? He doesn't get to me, he doesn't get the credit, but he's a phenomenal. Did we do Don Cheadle?
No. Yes, we did. Yeah. Love and Basketball. We've done that. We did that in season 1. Somebody on Instagram asked if we did.
Yeah, we definitely did Love and Basketball. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That was wasn't that the second one we did?
Yeah. Lathan is my favorite, so we were going to do her movie. We even did one of my favorite movies with Sanaa Lathan and Denzel Washington. Out of time.
Out of
That's my
time.
movie.
Yeah.
Let me tell you,
Yeah.
when I went to the movies to go see that, I was in my seat. Like it had me shook. So Leroy, we have done everything. So today we are talking about War Room. If you haven't seen War Room, let us know. It's a faith-based film, and it came out in 2015, and it had all of the saints at the movie theater when War Room came out. All of the saints was at the movie. They were in the movies and they were watching. Look, I just hit it and my light fell. That's the first time. Did I get too dark? Is it dark? Okay, my light just fell.
Oh no, you're good.
Okay. All right. So, and it's so interesting because all of the saints were there and they were watching War Room. And I wasn't one of the saints that went to the movies to see it, but I had heard so much about it. I got the DVD. I was giving and gifting the DVDs to people. I was talking about it every single day, all day long. I remember going to work like, y'all haven't seen the War Room? Y'all got to see the War Room. This is the War Room. Let me show you how the War Room is. And I was so excited about this movie. So it came out in 2015, August 28th, 2015. It was directed by Alex Kendrick. And if you know who he is, he does a lot of the faith-based movies like we talk about Courage and Overcomer. And
Not just
movies.
him.
Yeah. He
has him and his brother. It's their brothers, the Kendrick brothers.
Yes. Yes.
I think he's the director. He's the director, but then the one that's actually in the movie, he's in the one that's in the movie is Alex. And then the other brother is the one that's usually the director.
Yeah.
And then I think Alex I think both of them are like the executive producers of
yeah, and he played the boss in this movie.
Correct.
And we'll talk about it, but remember he went to the boss and it exposed what he did. Yeah. And he's so chill. He's so chill. And some might say more than just a movie where we break down classic black films. And some might say, well, it's a white director or white creator. What would you say to that for this movie? But it's an all black 90s.
It's a black cast though. And the story is about a black family, which we'll talk a little bit about in a second. And then it's also about the mentor of the young lady, of the wife. She's a black mother. She's a black mother. So to me, that and I think that was probably done on purpose though too, Kendall. I think they did that to kind of get us involved. I think they were intentional about creating that black experience, that black perspective on family. How do you deal with with this type of issue that we're going to be talking about in this movie? How do you deal with that from a black family perspective? So I like that. So that's what I would say to somebody that might know. Yeah, okay, I get it. It wasn't all black, but the core of it dealt with you had black actors and actresses, and you had the black family was represented here. That was the focal point of the movie.
Yes. Our favorite fan is on. Are you watching from Instagram and YouTube? Basine said she could see my notes on Instagram because Instagram is behind the scenes. So it's a different picture on YouTube. So she's double dipping. Shout out to Basine. She's MTJAMS #1 fan. She does not miss an episode since we started. We've had her even a guest.
Love her, love Basine.
We've had her as a guest host on here. We had her doing the wrap up, and we also celebrated her birthday right here on More Than Just a Movie. So shout out, baby. All right, so and that was a good definition of the movie. All right, what is the movie about? With great jobs, a beautiful daughter, Alina Pitts, and a dream house, the Jordans seem to have it all. Appearances can be deceiving. However, as her husband, Tony, played by T.C. Stallings, flirts with the temptation and wife Elizabeth, Priscilla Schreiber. She's a heck of a pastor. She's a heck of a minister, but she's not a minister in here. She's actually pretty funny in this movie. Becomes increasingly bitter, crumbling under the strain of a failing marriage. Their lives, take an unexpected turn for the better when Elizabeth meets her newest client. That's Leroy's girl, Miss Clara, played by Karen Abercrombie, which she's excellent, who encourages the couple to find happiness through prayer. So, can we just talk for a minute? We were talking before the show started about Karen Abercrombie, that plays the older lady, Miss Clara, in the movie. You want to give her flowers on the show, because you talked about it, Leroy, prior to the show.
Yeah, actually, and I'll say this. I mean, because she, like we were talking about, she stole the show. She stole the movie. I'm gonna say stole the show. She stole the movie. She stole the movie because she made. I mean, her character that was in here. She took and encompassed that character. You would have thought that she was that old grandmother. She was one of the, well, what do they call them, worship leaders or prayer warriors. I'm sorry, prayer warriors. She was one of those prayer warriors that everybody went to at church to say, Miss Claire, I need you to pray for me. She was gonna go to war for you. She was gonna go to war for you in that war room. So
she gonna do it even if you don't ask. She gonna butt in and pray for you.
Yep. So I really loved how she took on that role, especially when she was so believable especially when she was shouting in the kitchen after what's her name? After Elizabeth came to her and told her, about everything working out and stuff like that, and she was in the kitchen and she was doing that thing that mothers, that prayer warriors do, praising God and everything like that. I was like, yeah, that was real right there. That wasn't you can't fake that. I'm sorry, that's a woman that knows how to, who does that in real life. I promise you, she does that in real life.
And you know what else was real? You know what else is real? The scene real when she asked her if she liked her coffee lukewarm.
Right.
Or warm. Because you're talking about, if you loving God, it can't be. He don't want you coming lukewarm. But when she gave her that, and she said, Miss Clara, this coffee is lukewarm. She said, that's how you said you like it. She played that part. But what I love about the movie, all right, so we got to set it up for people who haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I told y'all, I was screaming to the mountaintops when I seen this movie, and I've seen it multiple times. So I read the caption and the synopsis of what the movie is about. So basically, I'm going to read it in my own terms, and you tell me if you agree, if you want to add.
Okay.
So this movie is about a successful Black couple. They have their daughter. They're doing their thing. The husband works so much, he's never home. So the wife is always there with the child, and she's a realtor and she's working in and outside of the home. The husband is just working out of the home. When he comes in, he don't want to do no work. He don't want to play with the child. He don't want to kiss his wife on the cheek. He don't want to do nothing but have an attitude because he was going through it at work. So what happens is the wife is needing, the daughter is needing the emotional support, the affection of the father/husband. Well, he don't got time for them because he's trying to do his thing. So we find out, and then he has a friend who's trying to talk sense into him about his marriage and about his wife and about, how he thinks his friend should be, right? And what his wife needs. He ain't trying to hear all that. So at work, he's a pharmaceutical rep, but he's skimming off the top, and we don't know. He's taking a little money, selling his product or giving the product, but selling it and harboring it and doing things, right? So his wife is concerned. She doesn't know about this part yet, but she knows that she doesn't have her husband. So her husband even is, wilding, trying to cheat, entertaining things he shouldn't entertain. And what happens is his wife, who is selling homes, is introduced to Miss Clara, the older lady we're talking about. So she is, and it shows how God puts people in your life and puts angels in your life. So she goes to her house, and the Miss Clara is thinking about selling her home. So Elizabeth goes in there, but Miss Clara, like some older people, she might want some company. She ain't even talking about house business. And Elizabeth wants to get down to the numbers. Like, okay, let me see the house. Okay, how are you going to do the house? And what are we going to do? What are we going to be? The asking price. She's about business. And Miss Clara is walking her through the house like, that's my new assignment. She's my new assignment. God told me she's my assignment. Yeah, she thinks she's here for the house. Yeah, she is here for the house, but she's here to get some of this word too. So she's taking Elizabeth around the house, and then they go into the war room. So you want to take it from there?
Well, yeah, as Miss Clara is showing Elizabeth around the house, she said, she asked Miss Clara what the room, was. And she said that she kind of introduces her to the war room.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, she wasn't familiar. Elizabeth didn't know anything about a war room, wasn't familiar with the term and anything like that. So she said, well, what's that? So Miss Clara goes to explain to her what the war room is, and the things that she does in the war room. And she talked a little bit about her, her husband, her relationship, because her husband had passed on. So, because her husband had passed on. But they even Miss Clara had an estranged relationship with her husband. She went through this struggle that Elizabeth is going through with her husband, and that's the connection that's made. That's why when you heard Kendall say when Miss Clara says that's her new assignment, because Miss Clara is like a mentor, and
Mm-hmm.
she mentors women that are going through issues in their marriages, and she wants to help them
Mm-hmm.
because she knew she had done things wrong in her relationship with her husband. So
Yeah.
her assignment is to help
And we
women.
find that out later. Basically,
Right.
if you're trying to get on live on Instagram, you got to get off or hit off or on, because I can't get you off. Basine was going to come on and talk about her part, I guess, but we'll have to have you on the show part.
Yeah, she had to come on through the link.
Yeah,
It'd be
you have
kind
to
of
come on.
we wouldn't be able to see her on
No,
Instagram.
you would have to come on through the other show on YouTube. But if you can disconnect now, that would be great, because I can't disconnect her.
Oh,
Basine,
okay.
if you can disconnect on Instagram. She requested to join. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, but go ahead. So so she doesn't even know at the time that that's her assignment.
Correct. And then she figured out that's her after Elizabeth leaves. She figured after having that conversation that they have, that initial conversation,
Mm-hmm.
Miss Claire knows that Elizabeth is her next assignment.
Yeah.
And so they begin their friendship, this relationship, and Elizabeth begins to see, oh, Miss Claire is somebody that I can confide in. I'm having these issues with my husband. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
How do I handle it? I have an older woman that has been married and has something that I can feel like that I can gain from, which is,
Yeah.
I believe, what draws Elizabeth to her. And so
Yeah.
they begin to nourish that relationship that they
Yeah.
have. So she starts to come over more, and it becomes more than, like you were saying, it becomes more than just her being a realtor, being Miss Clara's
Yeah.
realtor.
Yeah.
It becomes a relationship. It becomes a
Yeah.
relationship. She mentors her, and that's when she gets into telling her the different things that Elizabeth needs to do
Yeah.
in order to be able to work on her marriage. And because Elizabeth is at her wits' end, she's ready to give up. She's ready to walk away from the marriage.
Yeah.
The whole thing. The whole
Yeah.
thing. She's ready to
Because
just
she's
say,
not
you know
getting
what?
nothing she needs in that marriage. She's not getting
Right.
nothing.
Right.
And he's so cold to her. Her husband is like
Well,
extremely cold to her, extremely
and
cold to the child. Like he is really a jerk.
well, I'm gonna say this, fellas, and this is when you and I have these conversations and we talk about the male female relationships and we talk about relationships period, and we
Mhm.
talk about the protect and provide, right? You
Come
hear
on, I know
that's
where
what
you're going with this.
that's
Where
what
you
they
going?
always say. I just need a man to protect and provide. Now, I'm gonna let you answer because I'm gonna ask you the question and I'm gonna let you say it. Was this man protecting and providing?
Absolutely not, in no way. And some might say, oh, because he had a good job, he was providing. But she had a good job and she was providing. He was not providing. And a lot of times, yes, money matters, finances matter with men providing, but that's not the provision that we need the most.
Right, but wait a minute, stop right there because what do I usually say when I always talk about when they say protecting and providing? It's always done from the perspective of what?
Money.
So technically, he was doing what these what folks out here say that he's supposed to do. He's
Mhm,
protecting, he's providing. She has a roof over her head. She has everything that she needs. They weren't worried about the financial aspect of it.
mhm.
Everything was there. So he was, from their standpoint, you and I both know he wasn't protecting and providing at all.
No.
Protecting and providing. And I try to get people to understand that both men and women, you got to protect, provide, and produce. But
Ooh,
protecting and providing is more than just from a financial standpoint. It's
yes,
more than
sir.
just from a physical standpoint.
Yes,
Like you
sir.
were talking about, we saw in this movie, he was he was in the home, but he was not present. He was not present to his wife, and he was not present to his daughter.
That's good. That's
They
good.
both needed him. They didn't get into it, but I always get into he wasn't protecting her. He wasn't protecting the relationship. First of all,
No,
he
come
wasn't,
on, boy.
and he wasn't providing in the relationship because
No.
the wife needed him as a husband to be there for her, and he wasn't. The daughter needed him to be there as a father, so he wasn't protecting and providing in any of that sense. So mentally, he wasn't there. Like you talked about, he was just, hey, I'm going to work. I make the money. I bring the money home. That should be good enough for you. That's how he treated
Mm,
her. That should be
mm,
good enough for you. I
mm,
give you the money that we need. You got this big old house that we living in. What's the problem? You
mm,
know. And people don't understand that the spiritual
mm,
aspect of it. He wasn't protecting and providing the spiritual aspect of the relationship with her.
mm-mm.
So people, psychologically, it was weighing on her. He didn't have a problem with the relationship, did he?
No, he
He
didn't have a problem relationship
he
because
was good with
that's the
it.
thing. That point right there. Let's talk about that. He wasn't protecting, he wasn't providing, but he was producing part of the income, not even all the income, part of the income he was producing. But what happened is he got comfortable with how things were going. He got comfortable being emotionally absent. Even his daughter would be like, Daddy, can you do? I'm busy. I'm not doing it. The wife was, Elizabeth was like, can you do? He didn't have any time for them until when God shows up and he shifts some things, which he did, and her faith grew stronger, and he was trying to figure it out. He was doing things he had no business doing, entertaining, women romantically. And it's so interesting. So the more Elizabeth sat at the feet of Miss Clara and she began to pour into her about how she should be and the things that she should do and what she should not pay attention to, and how she only was responsible for her. So just pray for him, pray for the relationship, continue doing what you're doing, and continue being fed. That's pretty much what it was. And she was like, Elizabeth was like, you want me to do what? With who? Where? That's and she's like, no, 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 no. And then, like you said, she explained what a war room is. So I know people across the country was trying to get their little closets together. They was trying to get any little hole in the wall that they had, any corner of the wall. Like, hey, this war room is something else. Let me figure this out. Basically, and I sent you the link through Facebook Messenger. But they were trying to figure it out. And the more that Miss Clara pushed, the more that Elizabeth pushed back. Because she's like, Miss Clara, I understand. I respect you. You know, you an old saint from way back when. You trying to give the gospel and the word. But however, I ain't got time for that. Do you want to sell the house? How we going to do this? And she kept asking about the house. So what Miss Clara was doing was, okay, we're going to talk about the house. I'm going to offer you some coffee. But then I'm going to also find a little word. She was finding the word in everything. Like, well, you like your coffee hot, like I was saying in the beginning, hot or lukewarm. And when she said she liked it lukewarm, then she relayed that, you know, she kind of prefaced that and put that in the context of the word when it comes to the love that she had for God. And she was asking like a little bit of faith or, you know, more lukewarm faith, like, how do you want it? And she was slowly, boldly just putting her 2 cents in and putting God's word in, because she knew, we didn't know that at the time. We didn't know what Miss Clara had been through, but Miss Clara knew clearly that Priscilla's character, Elizabeth, was her assignment.
But see, and that's the thing about Miss Clara, because Miss Clara saw herself in Elizabeth.
But we didn't know that yet. Remember, we didn't
Right.
find out to the end.
But that was the reason. I think that was the reason why Miss Clara began to do the things that she did, and how the relationship began and started, and how Elizabeth started to listen to her in regards to and I can't remember exactly, but they, when they were sitting down, I think when she came over the one time, that was when it really started clicking to Elizabeth. Well, man, I need to talk to somebody about this.
Yeah.
You know, and Miss Clara seemed to be someone who I can, who I feel comfortable enough. And that was the thing. Miss Clara made her feel really comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, and being able to come and talk to her about the issues. And so Miss Clara was giving her that subtle advice. And yes, when when Miss Clara started asking her, I think the first question she asked was, are you, did she want to fight for her marriage? Was it worth saving?
Yeah.
And a lot of people in this day and time, even before you get to the marriages, even in relationships, people don't want to do the work. And that's what Elizabeth was like. I'm not trying to do all this work. What you mean I got to apologize? I got to apologize to him, or I got to do this and do that. He the one doing the stuff wrong. He's the one that's not there. He's the one that's emotionally unavailable for for me and my daughter. And you mean tell me you still want me to pray for him?
Yeah.
So all of these things, and she starts to, I think what really helped Elizabeth was when she started to see that those things that Miss Clara was telling her that she needed to do was actually having an impact on the marriage.
Yeah. And on her.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And that's what made me, this movie made it so good for me, was it gave people a template on how we should deal with relationships.
Yeah.
How we should deal with our husbands or wives when they aren't, check this out, Kendall, when they aren't communicating. And how we need the input. And I've been talking about this all week, but I call it the C-suite. But the first C that I talked about on Monday was communication. Communication is the foundation of everything that we do. How we communicate. And in marriage, it is vitally important
Mm-hmm.
that you communicate, no matter whether it's good or bad. I know we don't want to have those conversations
Yep.
because they're hard conversations. And people want to have this, and I don't know if you've heard ladies use this term, soft life. You know,
You know what? It's so funny because we're talking about it in Bible study, soft life,
uh
well, soft, soft like, what were we calling Bible study? I can't think right now, but it is soft life, soft season. We're living in our
okay,
soft season. But yes, everybody now is talking about soft life.
right, and life is not gonna be soft. I hate to let y'all in on a little secret. Life isn't gonna be soft. It may have its soft moments.
Yeah.
Relationships are going to have those soft moments where
Yeah.
you feel good in them, but it's also going to have those hard moments
Yeah. For sure. For
where you
sure.
gotta you're gonna have to work at it.
Yeah.
And I think
Very.
anyone who has been married will tell you marriage is work. There's nothing, no soft life about being married.
Mm-mm. It ain't for no
It's
punk.
right. It's for real. And that's what War Room was about. It's showing
Yeah.
you, it showed you that you got to do the work. You've got to put that. You got to
Especially
be
if
willing to
you
put.
want it.
Right,
If
right,
you want it, then you have to do the work within it, you know.
correct.
And most of the time people understand and see that after it's too late. You got
Yep,
to get in there when there's still hope, when you're still there and you're still in that, you know what I mean?
yep,
And
mhm,
she was still there, and she didn't plan on leaving, and she didn't
correct.
know
And she
he
wanted it to work out.
she
She wanted to
wanted
work on the
exactly.
marriage.
She wanted it. So if you want something to work out, then you have to do the work.
Right. And here's the thing too, within this, you have to be willing to do the work, but then you also have to have a mate that is willing to do the work. Now, once you find out that they ain't willing to do the work,
Boom.
you you better bounce.
You better bounce
Bounce.
like basketball.
Yeah, right. You better bounce.
Yeah.
But
Because
Elizabeth
both
was willing
people
to
have
put in the
to
work.
do the work.
Right. They
Both
were
people.
both willing to, and her husband started to notice the difference. He was like, "Well, wait a minute.
You talk about
I,
talk about
I,
when she made the food.
I know right now." See, he was like,
Because
he was like, "Wait a minute. Hold
well, he
up."
knew how raggedy he was treating her. He knew that he was being cold and mean.
Right.
He knew that he wasn't giving her no act right, no play, no time. He knew. So when she still put that food in front of him, like in his face to cook it, he looking at her like, "Are
Like,
you trying to poison me?"
right. Are
Because
you trying to get rid of me?
her response to how
Hmm.
he wasn't what he anticipated or what it had
Correct.
been before.
Because he was ready to go to war. He was ready to fight with her.
Yeah,
He
because
he was ready to argue and all of those other things about it.
yeah, because he was just mean.
Yeah.
Like you can
Yeah.
tell his soul wasn't right. But and I love the movie, you can see how God was changing his soul and his spirit. But his soul wasn't right. He wasn't right. He still was he wasn't right. He wasn't treating himself right. See, he was like supposed to be
Let-
fine. He went to the gym and he was buff and he was brown skin and had it going on. And he thought he thought he was the bee's knees. So he thought he can go out there because he was still pulling the women because the women were still interested and he was entertaining a couple. So he was still doing his thing, not giving the time to the other people that pursuing an intimate relationship, but not his wife or his child. So she was frustrated, and God sent an angel and Miss Clara right at that time, and she had no idea that she was going to be the catalyst that God sent to restore, what was broken in their marriage. So you want to talk about when she put the food in front of him?
Well, I think the thing was he was trying to figure out, hey, is she, here I am being evil, mistreating this woman, not being, like we were saying, not being present, being there, but not being present, being
And is that a man
unemotional.
thing? Is that a man thing?
Oh
Can we
no,
talk about that real quick?
no.
Where some men are not emotionally present and they're not there, even if you're
Well,
talking to them and you ask them a question, or if you say something, they don't even hear it and they totally be like, "Oh, well, what did you say?" Like, is that common for a man to be um uh, emotionally unavailable
no.
and just not really paying attention to the woman, her needs, her thoughts, her voice, anything?
No, I think I'm not going to say that that's a man thing. I think that's a man and woman thing. I think you have some women that are not
Good answer.
emotionally available.
Good
You know what I'm
answer.
saying?
Mhm.
So I think it's, and see, people want to give these, and I hate to,
Genders.
and I don't
They
know how to
give them
put it.
genders. They
They
give
want to
them
give, yeah, they want to give these gender definitions. Or he's being
genders.
mad. You and I talk about this all the time.
Mhm.
Or she's being masculine, he's
Yeah,
being
that
feminine.
masculine
That
energy.
or masculine and feminine energy. And I'm like,
Mhm.
no, you got to be careful about words because words matter. And I know
Mhm.
you know this as a life
Mhm.
coach. Words matter, and
Mhm.
people have to understand that someone who is arrogant is arrogant. I don't care whether it's a male or
Yep.
female. If you're arrogant, you're arrogant. You
Yep.
know, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about. I know you've been watching. I haven't been able to get your take on it, but the what's her name that everybody's been talking about that was with Alanya Van Zant, Ebony Williams, and her and the question that she was asked. But you have some people that are arrogant, some people that are narcissists. You have some people that are rude. Rude is rude whether you're
Right.
whether you're
Right.
male or female, rude is rude.
Right.
You know what
Rude
I'm
is rude.
saying? Yeah.
It's not
So
a
you
woman
can't
trait or a male
people
trait or female trait.
right. It's not.
Rude.
Yeah. It's not a. Yeah. Rude is rude. So
Right.
you can't sit here and
It's
do
not
like these
feminine
folks on.
energy and rudeness. It's not
Yeah.
male
And rudeness.
rudeness. Rude, you rude.
Yeah. And my thing is well, working and having a job is not masculine energy. I'm sorry.
No.
Where y'all getting this stupid stuff from?
Come on,
That's
Leroy.
not. You know what I'm saying? Well, she's in her masculine energy if she working and she trying to accomplish something in life. Really?
Right. Right.
If she got a skill set that affords her to be able to live in a house,
Talk it.
she can
You
do
better
certain things.
talk
She's in a masculine energy, or if he stays at home, I'm gonna get you with this one. If he stays at home, he's in his feminine energy. What? Come on, folks. Let's be real about this.
That's
So
real.
he was trying to figure out, hey, here I am treating this woman like like crap, like just like nothing, like she
Mhm.
doesn't even matter to me, and she's still being nice to me. She's still cooking for me.
Because
She's
she
still
changed. At first, she was just trying to talk to him. She was getting frustrated.
right.
She wanted her feet rubbed. Now, I knew
I love that part.
I loved Elizabeth from the jump because I'm a woman who loves her feet rubbed. I even go to this place so they can rub my feet. They rub the legs, and I ain't got nobody rubbing my feet. And I want to rub my even when I've asked to rub my feet, and I don't got no ugly looking, crazy feet. But and he
You ain't got
didn't
hammer
either. But
toes.
she wanted
Look, be honest.
simple.
Be honest, Kendra. You ain't got
I
hammer
ain't got
toes.
no
You can.
I ain't got hammer toes. Nah, no, I ain't got no boomerang. I ain't got no boomerang feet. And it's so interesting, like she wanted her husband, and people don't understand that even that is a level of intimacy. It's not
Yeah.
sexual, but it is
Yep.
intimacy. It is closeness. And she was asking her husband to rub her feet. He ignored her every single time.
Yep. And
Every
I'm
single
telling
time.
you,
And doggone it, when I saw, I'm like, because
um,
you have some that will rub your feet, and then you have some that will straight up say no. I've had straight up say no, and like not even wanting to just on some other. You know what I'm saying?
they
Like so
yeah because they think that
something else,
that's
and he
being
was so
here we go. They think that rubbing your feet is feminine energy.
child, and my feet was smelling good. Her feet was smelling well. We're not gonna talk about her feet because that was
What
the running joke. So I love this movie because it was it's faith based, but it's still comedy,
that
and the
was funny.
comedy in
That
the
was
movie was
hilarious.
great. So the whole running joke was her feet stunk. or her shoes stunk. And even her daughter walked in the room like, what's that smell? When she walked in her closet, she's like, oh God, it's my shoes. And then so that's the running joke, that not that he didn't want to rub her feet because they stunk, it's just because he ain't had time for it. Not to say he don't rub feet, he just didn't have time for it. He was on his own agenda. And so finally, you know, he's talking to his friend. That's why you can't have friends in your life who tell you you're right all the time. They have to be able to pull your coattail when you're messing up and say you're messing up. And I think it's important for women to have them. I think it's important for men. And he had one. He had a friend. Remember, she wanted to help her sister. Her sister was having a hard time financially. They weren't having a hard time financially. She wanted to be of service to her sister. He would not even allow her to help her sister on her feet. You know, he just was really now, just nasty about everything.
There, no, speaking of you were saying you need to have friends in your I call it the circle of impact that will be able to pull your coattail. Where the book at? Excuse me. What's showing?
You're unhealed is showing. My book. You're unhealed is showing. Thanks for the plug, Leroy. Boom. Get your copy.
You have to have people in your circle that will hold you. And here's the thing, and here's the thing about men and women. It's the A in man, M-A-N, and it's in woman and it's in man. It's accountable. You have to have people in your circle that are not afraid to hold you accountable. Like, bruh, you messing up. Bruh, what are you, and just like his friend did. He's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You got this, you have a good woman, you got a great child, you have a good life, and you're gonna mess all of that up. You're gonna throw all of that away for this girl. I ain't gonna call her a woman that's pulling your coattail, trying to get you, trying to show you some attention
young child at that.
And it wasn't even like he wasn't getting attention from his wife. That he wanted attention and she wasn't giving it to him.
He didn't want it from her.
He didn't want the attention from her.
Nope.
Didn't want the attention from her. So his boy pulled his coattail and was like, bro, what are you doing? You need to fix that. He was like, you need to deal with yourself because that's something wrong with you, not her.
That's a friend.
In doing that.
Not like, man,
that's
she ain't nobody. Just go ahead and leave her. Go out there. So no, and that's when you have covenant friends,
right? And you don't have friends, and you don't have friends that go and be a dog, bro. Go and be a dog. You know,
exactly. Because then you think about the Black family, and they had a young daughter. So you want to leave the marriage not because it's toxic, or she's treating you wrong, or you ain't even trying to. He wasn't even trying to leave the marriage. He was just trying to have his cake and eat it too. But somebody can get tired of being neglected, tired of being ignored, tired of. And when I talk to you, you're not listening. And she was like, every time I come to you, I even something simple. I want a son. She loved her feet rubbed, and she loved ice cream sundaes. Simple. Another man would be making her a banana split so fast, rubbing them feet day and night so fast. And she's not like, and she was a gorgeous woman. She was a sweet woman of God. So it's not like she couldn't get someone just like he was getting someone else. She wanted her husband to notice her.
Yep.
Period.
It wasn't asking for.
Right. He wasn't
asking she wasn't asking for anything materialistic. She wasn't saying, I need another house, I need another car, I need to go on vacation, 8 times a year. She wasn't asking.
I'm making fresh ice cream. I know that's right. You turning that ice cream? I know that's right.
So
right.
it wasn't,
And now
she
we
wasn't
see,
asking for those materialistic things. She wanted the emotional things. She was
yeah,
saying she wanted the emotional part of the relationship.
yeah.
That
And
that
that's
that's
what a lot of women want. Yes, can you have sex? Anybody could do that. If your body is working, you can do that. That's easy. But to really be emotionally connected and emotionally available is the challenging part for some women and some men. In this case, it was him. So after a
yeah,
while, you're gonna get tired of trying. So she would have gotten tired of trying if she had not met Miss Clara.
correct. I believe so too. I believe
Yeah.
she was getting to her wits end.
Yeah.
And I think she would have walked out on the marriage had Miss Clara not come along. But that's the
100%.
beauty of this story, was
100%.
that Miss Clara was destined to come along. Miss
100%.
Clara needed, like, and I think Miss Clara said it. Miss Clara needed Elizabeth, and Elizabeth needed Miss Clara,
Yeah.
and those two were destined to meet because that's how it was ordained. That's the way that it was meant, because that marriage,
Yeah.
that particular marriage, was meant to last. Now, not everybody, don't get us wrong, we ain't saying every marriage is meant to last,
You
and that you're
definitely ain't
supposed
saying that.
to and that you're supposed to stay beyond you
Right.
trying to make sure that you've done all you can do is your part. All you
Yeah.
can do is your part. If you can,
Because
if you
there are
can,
certain deal breakers, and they didn't have, he was cheating, and for her, it is possible in every relationship, cheating is not a deal breaker.
right, right, that's true, that's
So
true.
even when she was thinking and knowing, and she thought that, it didn't appear to be a deal breaker for her. But she
Hmm.
wanted the attention of her husband. And I don't mean the attention of her husband in some vain way. I'm
Right,
talking about a deeper connection. That's what
correct,
she wanted. So
right.
after talking to Miss Clara, let's move through this movie. So after talking to Miss Clara and seeing her war room, she just all of a sudden, you know how God put that fight in you. God put that fight in her. She started cleaning out her closet with her stinking shoes. You got to watch the movie. And War Room is on Tubi for free. So if you have not seen War Room, it is on Tubi. You can download the app.
Really?
Yeah, you can
Oh,
download
okay,
the
okay.
app on your phone, your iPad, your tablet, your smart TV, and it's on Tubi. Because I saw it not too long ago, and I just looked again. I didn't watch
Okay.
it again, but I had
Okay.
planned on watching a movie, and I'm like, I know it was on something, but it's on Tubi.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but so she decided to change that war room. I mean, that closet, took them stinky shoes out. Hey, Richie Rich took the shoes out and
Spray some Lysol.
sprayed some Lysol, and they had the music playing to get her pumped up. She took everything out of that closet and she made herself a war room. She started putting Bible scriptures up there. She started putting sticky notes. She started praying feverishly for her husband. Not even so much, even at first, for the marriage. It was for him.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then the
Mhm.
marriage, and for God to reveal certain things.
Right. Right. And here was the powerful thing about the war room, and about what Elizabeth started to do. Here's how infectious it was. It was infectious on her husband, because remember when he walked in,
Mm-hmm.
there and he started seeing the notes that she had in there, the prayers
And
for
made them
him.
nervous. Let's pause. You doing wrong when somebody's doing right is making you nervous.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then here's the second piece to that, was when her daughter saw it. Her daughter saw it and was like,
She wanted a
wow,
war room. She wanted a war. The
wow.
daughter wanted a war room.
Right.
That's deep.
And it was like, I want to do what mommy's doing. I want to pray for mommy and daddy.
That's deep. Because she
I was
saw
just
what
like,
was happening. She saw what was happening. And people
right.
think children do
Let
not
me,
see what's going down with their parents. Kids ain't dumb. I work with kids every day. Ain't none of them dumb.
ain't
So,
not, and
none
they
of
feel, kids fit, trust me, hear me, parents. I'm not a parent, but I know this for sure. Parents, your kids feel your energy.
them.
And that's why
100%.
people, when people want to say, well, I stayed because of the kids, I tell people no.
Them kids
Don't
be
let that
begging you
be
to divorce.
what because you to me you can do more damage by staying
Yep.
to your kids than you can by leaving. People say, well, I don't want to. I want to protect the black family. Well, no, you protect the black family by being separate from this person that you don't, that you have no
Yep.
emotional attachment to, that you have no really communication. Because trust and believe,
Yeah.
you ain't really communicating. You ain't really connected with somebody that you ain't got no feelings for emotionally in
Right.
there. So
Right.
so that
Right.
please understand that.
Right.
Please understand that in your marriage. Yeah, like I
Yep.
said, while you're trying to figure it out, while you're trying to do that, yeah, it's okay if you want to stay, that stuff. But kids will see that. Well, I'm gonna stay and we just sleep in separate bedrooms. That in and of itself will show kids that something's not right. And just because you're in
You
the
can
house,
tell them to love, but you chose it. Yep.
yep. So
Go
we've
ahead,
got
Leroy.
to be,
Go. Because you want
yeah, we've got to be careful when it comes to our children because children do feel your energy when it comes to parents. They can see it,
mm-hmm.
they can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember, when my mom and dad had been separated years and years and years, and so my dad was seeing other women or whatever, and I was with him, and through some of these escapades that he had with these women, and he was like, "You remember that?" I'm like, "Yeah, Dad, I do remember that." So we pay attention as kids.
Yes.
We are
Yes.
listening, we are playing, and we are paying attention to what's going
And he
on.
probably said, "Don't tell you." He probably said, "Don't tell your mama."
No, no, no. It wasn't even. It wasn't even that because this was long after they had been. They were divorced and they had been separated since I was 3. I mean, since I was 4 and
Yeah.
got divorced when I was 10. So it wasn't a thing where they were. They was. I'm talking about after he was not. After they were divorced and
Oh,
he
I
had
got
his own
you.
life.
I got
He had his own
you.
life,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
going back and forth with them. And here's the thing: my mother, neither one of them ever said anything negative about each other.
Yep.
Never.
Love that.
No matter
Mine
how
too.
they
Mine.
felt about each other, they never said anything
Yep.
negative to us
Yep.
about them.
That's
They
how you're
really
supposed to
did.
do
They
it.
never did. Yep.
They did it
And
with
and
class.
and you figure it out. I found out the dirt that he did. That my father did, and some of the things that he did. But it was when I got much older. I was an adult by then, so I was able to comprehend it and able to
Yeah.
understand it and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But please understand, especially like the young lady, because the little girl, was she 10? I think she might have been 10.
It's something like that. Yep.
Yeah, somewhere around there, anywhere between 9 and 11 or whatever. That she wasn't over 12. I don't in the
Yeah.
movie she wasn't over 12. But like you said, hey, this is a little girl, so
Yeah.
she's very, she loves her daddy, she loved her father. In
Yeah.
spite of how he treated her, she still loved daddy.
Yeah.
You know, and
So if
and
you're
and
just tuning
even
in, we're talking about War Room. All May on More Than Just a Movie. We are focusing on faith-based movies and inspirational movies. So first up is War Room. Leroy and
Mhm.
I love War Room, as you can hear with the conversation. It's so meaty and juicy and just
Yeah.
so many rich nuggets in there. So let's move it along. Okay, so she begins, like Leroy brought that part up, which is powerful. She showed her daughter without even knowing she was showing her daughter, where her daughter was like, I want a war room too. So she was in there having the little stickies up and she had her parents' picture up because she knew
Hmm.
that her parents were in trouble. She already knew her daddy was emotionally unavailable. She already knew.
Hmm.
A little girl. Isn't that something that a woman knows when a man is emotional unavailable? But even at a 9-year-old level, she knew that her daddy wasn't feeling what he needed to feel as a
Correct.
dad inside of her.
Yep.
So she
Yep. And
began
that's
pray.
the energy.
That's
That's the
deep.
energy that we talk about. That's the
That's
energy
deep.
that we talked about. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And how we as children,
Yeah.
we need both our parents' energy. That's the mother's energy and the father's energy in
Yeah.
order to be able to, we need to feel that. I don't care what people say.
Yeah.
People say, well, that energy is needed on both
Yeah.
sides, from both
And a
men
little
and women.
girl,
Right.
that's her first reference point for a man is her
Correct.
daddy. whether
Yep.
he's there or not. In this case, people always talking about, well, was the dad in the home? The dad being in the home doesn't mean anything if he's
Doesn't mean
emotionally
anything.
unavailable.
Because
If
he
he
was
is
in the
present
home.
sleeping there, he was in the home. So if he's sleeping in the home, like laying his
Yep.
head down, people automatically think that he is being a provider emotionally, a protector spiritually, right? But he was none of that to the wife and the mother. And I love the fact that the Kendrick brothers made it a daughter opposed to having a son.
Mm.
Think about that.
Do you think?
You
I
think
was going to say.
about
Do you
that
think that that would have met? Would that have been? Do you think if they had made that a son, you think that that dynamic would have mattered mattered any?
yes, because the daughter, because you're not only unemotionally available to this woman that you vowed to love. Now you are unavailable to this little girl you vowed to uplift, to protect,
Mm.
to honor. The same thing.
Mm.
Because as a
Mm.
parent, you have to give that to the little girl too. And he
Yep.
wasn't giving it to either. Physically
Yeah.
there, not mentally or emotionally. Exactly, Sonia. Exactly. And it's so important to be there. And Basine, I sent you the link to jump on if you wanted to join to give your take on War Room. I sent it through Facebook Messenger because my phone is on Instagram Live. So I sent it through my iPad to there. So the link is there if you want to join us. But it's so important. All right, so let's move on forward. This is a good conversation. Instagram, if you're watching, you can go over to my YouTube channel to see the whole show, or the playback. If you missed it, you can go to YouTube later. Okay, so everything begins to shift.
Yep.
Elizabeth meets Miss Clara. She sees the war room. She's more feverish about her prayer life. She's seeing that it's working for Miss Clara, and gently and softly, she starts to implement the things that Miss Clara says. She gets in the word, she starts praying, she starts thinking less of herself, more of her husband, more of her marriage, more of her daughter, and she is in it. So the husband begins to see, even though he's mean and ornery, treating her raggedy, barely paying her attention, acting like she don't exist, entertaining the other ladies of the night. Well, no, ladies of the night is something else. But the
Yeah,
ladies,
that's something totally different.
not those ladies of the night.
Yeah, that's a
but
little different.
but entertained. Remember the lady who texted him, that the one that was at the company, and she was like,
Yep.
"Hey," and he seen her again, and he was kind of like giving her the cold shoulder. So he saw the wife changing when she made the food, when she stopped asking the same questions, when she addressed things differently, when she said, "I would pray for you." When he saw the war room, he got scared. He went to the daughter and was like, "What's this?" And she was telling her. So he began to look with one eye open. Then all the stuff hits the fan, where he steals from his job and gets caught. So now he is not the man that he thought he was, and his ego is getting deflated. He comes to his wife and tells her what he's been doing as a pharmaceutical rep, skimming from the top or whatever he's doing. And she begins to pray. He begins to see her probably the way he saw her before, like, she's by my side, she's helping me, we're praying. And then he begins to show more humility. You want to take it from there?
Yeah, and I think that turning point was when he walked into that war room.
Yes.
And after, like, well, the war room, and like you said, when he got caught and he had to tell her what was going on, and
Yes.
he tells her what's going on. His expectation was for her to fuss, for her to argue, for her to fight, and she didn't. He even said,
Isn't it beautiful when you're different and people see that you're different?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
people are used, if if they handle you a certain way and your relationship is a certain way, the minute that you begin to grow and change, they want to pull you back to the place where they're comfortable because they don't know how to see that growth. But
Correct.
he saw that.
And and that's why it's important, as men and women, that we communicate,
Mhm,
because
mhm,
we have he had in his mind that she was going to leave. She was, she was going to be angry and everything else, and she
mhm,
acted totally opposite of what he was expecting her to act.
mhm.
And it surprised him when she did, and she stood by him. And that's when he started to say, you know what, yeah, I got something here, and I got to be all in
Yeah.
to this relationship, because
Do
here
you think he
she is.
would have been? Do you think he would have been if he didn't get caught at his job and he didn't get humbled and God took him to his knees? Do you think that
No,
he would have switched up?
no, I think he would have kept on doing what he was doing, because, like you said, that had to do with him
Mhm,
being who he was at that time.
mhm,
Now, I think him getting humbled and
mhm.
him getting caught changed his character
Yeah,
and who he was at his core.
yeah.
Because I don't think he was a necessarily a now he was a bad person, you know, because of the way that he treated his wife, the way that he treated his daughter, what he was not producing in the relationship, in his family, you know. So from that perspective, yeah,
He wasn't being
but
a good leader or a good head of
correct,
house.
correct, absolutely. And he said, okay, I see that this woman has got my back even when I'm at my lowest, because he knew that there was a possibility that he could go to jail, that there were going to be some ramifications for what he had done.
Mhm,
And she was like, no, we walking through this together. I'm here.
mhm,
She was like, I'm not going anywhere.
mhm.
And if there's anything that can soften a man's heart, is a woman who doesn't kick us when we're down, who gives us that respect and love, even if we don't deserve it.
Mhm.
You know, I think that will a lot of times shift us
Yeah,
and move us in the direction that it moved. What is his name? Tony. How it
yeah,
moved Tony.
yeah.
How
I
it
could
moved
see
Tony.
that.
And then he felt like, okay,
And women,
I
as
can.
women, we don't always know how to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
So,
in what was it? Not easily broken. Taraji P Henson's character. She tells uh uh Morris Chestnut's character, my mother never taught me how to be this type of, this type of this aspect of being a
was
woman.
her mother Jennifer Lewis in that movie? I can't
Absolutely.
remember. Okay.
Just as nasty too. I was just like, yeah, she. I ain't like her too tough in that movie, you know. But but you have, like you said, not being able to know how to deal with it, but still saying, and she probably didn't in this movie, Elizabeth, saying, you know what, I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but
But
all
she
I
knew
know
to
is,
pray. She knew to
right,
pray.
she knew to
Yeah.
pray, right, she knew,
Mhm.
hey, whatever it's going to be, we're going to be all right,
Yeah.
because we're
But
going to
it's
be in this together.
so interesting because even though she did pray, she wasn't a prayer warrior like Miss
Correct,
Claire,
correct,
right?
correct,
She knew she believed in God, and that's why Miss Clara was testing her faith with the coffee. And I think that that
correct.
was a great kind of introduction to make her think. And then when she said, Miss Clara, this coffee is lukewarm. Talk about like so is your faith, you know what I mean? Like so
Yep,
I like the way that they added that in there so you can see the progression of her faith. Like you
correct.
could really see the progression of her faith and learning and how she was, because she wasn't a bad person at all ever. She
No,
just was in a marriage with somebody who just wasn't paying her no mind, no
no
attention,
mind, none at
no,
all.
none. And then he starts to see her differently when he sees clearly the God in her. But the God in her was always there, and she was always praying in that. But the thing was, he couldn't see it past his ego, what he had.
Correct.
He
Yep.
couldn't see the woman he had until he lost everything and was about to lose everything. And then God showed up for him in that way. And I love how God showed up for him, even when they were praying and even when he was nervous. And the daughter was like, Daddy, why are they taking our car? He's like, he had to give everything back to the job. And, and he was at risk of losing the home. He lost the car. He lost his big paying job. And now but isn't it way how God transitioned it for doing something that he loved and to be of service and to spend more time at home and with his daughter? And you
Yep.
know what? You lost this big thing and you think this big thing is everything? My God, but I'm going to put you in your purpose. I'm going to put you in your purpose. You're going to be of service and you are going to do what you love. One, that double dutching and all of that, dancing, you're going to have more time with your daughter and wife. And I'm still going to sustain y'all financially. And she's going to be a boss realtor selling all the houses.
But here's the thing, fellas, and ladies too, get the message
Yes.
in this movie. And
Like living
Kendall,
color. Message.
you and I talk about this all the time. People want to say, fellas, I tell y'all this all the time. Your manhood is not defined by your wallet.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you hit a snag in the road like Tony did, where you're doing something dirty and then that dirt all of a sudden comes back around to you and you got to deal with it, is that woman going to be there for you?
There you go.
And Elizabeth had every right to walk away.
Every right.
She had every right to walk
Every
away
right.
from that marriage.
Yeah.
And say, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah.
Here you are, not feeding me emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
spiritually, psychologically,
Mm-hmm.
culturally. You're not doing any of that. You're not protecting my emotion. You're not protecting our relation. You put our relationship, and you put the relationship, our marriage, in jeopardy by doing what it is that you did on your job.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
would you want to all y'all out here that want to talk about protecting and providing? This dude did not protect and provide. Nor did he produce in in the marriage, in the relationship.
Black man. Because
I'm
that's
just
the
I'm
thing.
just
That's
saying.
the thing where they said that's why I said that specifically, because you see all of these things, high value man and high value, all that stuff that we talk about that's insane, right? Or black men supposed to do
Right.
this, or this was supposed to do that. But you are saying as a man that this man was not protecting, honoring, and serving his wife. And it's much more than money. It's about protecting and serving her heart and her emotions and her feelings, right?
And the relationship,
And
the overall relationship. And
facts.
we've got to get that. So these folks out here that want to talk about, but it's more than protecting and providing.
Absolutely.
Please stop that. Please stop, just because that context in which people are trying to, and maybe you know more because you're more the influencer and you're more the expert, that it's so that becomes, I don't know if people use it to be able to just get clicks, or just to be able to, or maybe it's just the dynamic that this current generation is in and on, where they don't think of it more, they're just repeating what they hear. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
As opposed to thinking about relationships in terms of like this one here in War Room, where you have a couple that are together, and the husband is in the home, but he's not present in the
No,
home.
that's huge. You're in the home because everybody talk about, is the
Right.
daddy home? Is the husband home? Does he come home every night? But it doesn't matter if his body is there, his mind and his heart is are not.
With the oh, I hate to, with the OJ say, your body's here with me, but your mind is on the other side
Other
of
side
town.
of town, Bobby
Your
Womack.
Yo, messing me around. Come on, yo,
It's the
get
truth.
it.
It's the
But
truth.
this is why we are who we are, Kendall. Because we ain't. This is more than just a movie. This is
This
more
is
than just
why
about
this
that movie.
show is called More Than Just a Movie, where we break down the movie. We this is real life. So in any movie, we can find real life and have these conversations. That's why this is called More Than Just a Movie. That's why movies are really more than just a movie.
Yeah.
All right,
And and I
go
know we
ahead.
got to go.
Uh-huh.
No, I know we got to go. But the last thing in regards to the relationship, this is why when you hear women talk about I won't date the bus driver and why Iyanla Van Zant got
Ebony K.
as
Williams. So let me just preface it.
okay.
So Ebony K. Williams, y'all know, correspondent, just so many, things. I don't even know even how to wrap that up with her because she does so much. And
Yeah,
Iyanla Van Zant, y'all know who Iyanla Van Zant is. So Ebony K. Williams was interviewing Iyanla Van Zant, and they were talking about men and finding men, and Iyanla posed a question. She said, "Would you date a bus driver?" to Ebony K. Williams. And she said, "Does he own the bus?" And Iyanla was like, "That's the problem." So everybody was coming at Ebony saying, like, "Why? What's wrong with a bus driver?" And going on and on and on. She even did I don't know if you saw it. She came back a couple days later
Yeah,
and
yeah.
clarified some things. But Iyanla was like, "That's the problem." Iyanla was like, "I would date a bus driver." Because it's not about that. That bus driver might treat you better than anybody you ever had.
And
And he
that
got
was
more benefits and a pension.
and that was Ayanla's point, Miss Van Zant's point. She was like, I would date the bus driver if he was treating me right,
Yeah.
if he loved what he was doing, if he
Yeah.
loved being a
He's
bus driver. That
passionate
was his
about it.
passion. That
Yeah.
was what he was doing, and he treated me right. He was he was a family man. The money or the people want to look down on blue collar, but it wasn't about the money aspect of it. Just like this, like we said in this movie, The War Room, dude was making good money. He was
Mm-hmm.
taking care of, he had the big house, had the nice car, had the
Mm-hmm.
corporate job,
But he
all of
also
that.
was crooked as an arrow, like a crooked arrow.
Crooked as an crooked as an arrow, and was in the home. And we keep saying it. He was in the home, but he was not present.
No, he
So
wasn't.
do you can have the owner of the bus company, the transportation company, whatever you want to call it,
And you might
but
never
if
be home, physically
and
or
he
emotionally.
and I here's real quick this, and I use this example in addition to what we were just talking about with Ebony. I said the perfect example of what we're talking about was Tom Brady. Tom Brady
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
had a wife that said, look, do what you do. I know you love what you do. I'm willing to step back. Because she was making good money.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
a
Supermodel.
top model.
Yeah.
So she was making bank. She had her own money.
Yeah.
All of that.
When I say
She
she had
said,
her own money, she had her own money.
right.
I had to say it.
So, I know, right? But she was like, no, go do what you do. I'm gonna let you go be Tom
Yeah.
Brady. Go be great. I'm gonna give you 19 years
But
to
then when
do
it's
that.
my turn, you better circle
When it's
back.
my turn, I need you home. I need you in this house.
I need you helping taking care of the kids and everything that I was doing. I need us to switch
And
gears and now it be about me.
and for those ladies, Kendall, and I'm gonna let you say it because I don't want to say it because they be like, oh, he just bashing. What did Tom Brady do when he was given the ultimatum? I don't want to call it an ultimatum of having to choose his wife and his family over his occupation and his job and what he was doing.
He went back to the occupation.
That's all I'm saying, y'all. So y'all can say y'all want the bus owner, the transportation owner, whatever, or the
Then
owner,
y'all gonna be talking about he too busy.
right? He ain't never
He too
home.
busy. He ain't never
He
home. He running. He
he's
got a whole fleet and he ain't
he's
never
emo-
home.
he's emotionally unavailable to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like
I'm
you darn
just
if
saying.
you do, darn if you don't. Men got it, yeah. Because when, yeah. because you got a section of women who want you to do your thing and have your own thing. Everybody wants that, right? But then you got selfish where they might not want you to do their own thing and then stay home. Then you laying on the couch all day. They like, why
Yep.
you on the couch? Get up off the couch and go get a job.
But
It's like
here's
men
the
have it
thing that I
harder in
think
that
that,
aspect than women.
yeah, and I think that a lot of people don't understand, to be successful, to be great at anything that you do, whatever the occupation is, people are going, when you are successful at what you do and you have a particular skill set, your time is what people want. People want you. They want you significantly. And that's the sacrifice that comes with being successful. So you got to ask yourself, hey, am I willing to accept that he's not going to be there all the time? She's not going to be there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the person that is being called upon, there are going to be some sacrifices. That's why when I use
Absolutely.
the acronym BOSS, BOSS, which is build, organize, shift, and sacrifice is the last S. You
Yeah.
have to be willing to sacrifice.
Yeah.
That bus owner has to be willing to say, you know what? No, I've got to be
Because
home.
something is going, because something, it's never going to be even. The scale is
Yep.
going to tip one way or the other. And if you're able to roll with it and say, for instance, the bus, if he acknowledged, like, listen, I got to be on this grind, I got to do this. If he acknowledges that and acknowledges your feelings and emotions, then that's a win, right? But if he's acting like you ain't got no feelings or emotions, he ain't got no place home, he ain't got to do nothing for you emotionally, he ain't got to be there, then that's the sign. But if he's acknowledging your emotions and feelings about it, and he's aware of his behavior or his lack of effort or not being there, then that's a winner.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Yep.
if he's acting like it don't matter, I'm gonna go do me over here, I'm a date, I'm gonna do all of that, and you do have a good person, then that's the problem. All right, so as we wrap up, I wanted to talk about Miss Clara. So the first film, the first scene film where Miss Clara is cheering in the kitchen about the devil getting his butt kicked, the one you were talking about.
I love it.
Yes, from this point on, they knew that Karen Abercrombie was great for the role. She was only in her 50s, but wore wig and makeup to look older. In one scene where Elizabeth is touring her house, they look at the picture on the wall that shows Clara and her husband Leo from many years ago. This picture was actually taken earlier the same day when she wasn't wearing a wig. So they had her regular self, how she was now,
Right.
in the picture of looking older. So also in the scene where the pastor realizes that the prayer has been taking place in Clara's closet, people have often rolled their eyes about this, thinking it's silly. But this was actually based on something that Alex Kendrick really experienced. One time he walked into a pastor's closet. He knew the pastor had been praying there. In the audio commentary, he says, if you say, what was it about? It's hard to put my finger on it. It was like the presence of the Lord had been in the closet and there was almost residue. It was mystical. It looked like somebody had cooked a meal and the aroma of that meal was still in the air. This was something that they wanted to have in the movie, and that's the reason why it was in the scene. So remember when she was
Wow.
selling her house
Yep.
and they were asking, was a pastor here? He was like, I'm going to buy it. He said that really happened to him when he
He said
went.
somebody's. Yep. He said somebody been praying in that room. He knew
Yes,
because he stepped in and then he stepped
yeah,
back out. That's
yeah.
so important.
That's deep.
Two.
But ain't that deep? Ain't that a good analogy though? Where he said it's like somebody cooked a meal and you could still
Yeah.
smell it.
Yep.
That's good. But go ahead, and
Absolutely.
I'm gonna let you in.
No, the two things we got to talk about the ending, because everything, for those that haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert. I know the movie isn't that old, but you go watch it, you'll see that how their relationship turns out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how their relationship turns out. But we're gonna go back to what you said at the beginning, Kendall, about what Elizabeth's what was it? Well, I don't know what she said. What was her favorite thing that she wanted? What she
Yeah.
wanted in the relationship?
Sunday
I'm gonna let you tell. I'm gonna let
ice
you
cream
tell.
Sunday and her feet rub. Like that's how I am. Like the smallest things. She wanted her ice cream sundae and she wanted her feet rubbed. That's what she asked her husband. That was it. That was it. He couldn't do it. He ain't had time. He ain't had time.
Fellas, all I'm saying is
Better
if she
rub them
want
feet.
ice cream, if she want ice cream and her feet rubbed,
You
give her
better do
ice
it.
cream and rub her feet. That's not that ain't what Ashford and Simpson say. Don't cost you nothing.
Don't cost you nothing.
Don't cost you nothing. And I'm telling you, if you do it right, yeah, 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 that'll happen. It'll be
Yeah.
more than the foot rub.
It's like and it's like
Trust
a
and believe.
whale rubbing his belly. Like all I want is my feet rubbed in a Sunday. So what happened at the end? What happened at the
Yeah,
end?
but I loved it though because because
They
he
kept
remember
going.
we talked about the foot odor, y'all, right? So he was like, I got everything covered. So she still evidently had the bad feet.
But it was comedy, even though we're talking about
Right.
prayer, we're talking about God, we're talking about relationships and marriage. It was humor in this movie that was like made you
That
laugh
was
out loud.
hilarious.
Schreiber was great in this movie.
My man pulled out the mask. Y'all know the mask that we wear for COVID. Pulled out one of them bad boys and said he about to go to work.
Like
On
Myra or
them feet.
Martin, he said, "Get down on them feet." Like Myra, remember or Martin?
That was just, but that was so wonderful to see.
Yeah,
Because that's what we've been talking about throughout this whole movie about being emotionally there. Because the truth be told, ladies and fellas, the relationship is not about you, it's about you giving to that other person. If that's
that's it.
done reciprocally,
Nobody's
she's giving to
lacking.
you, nobody's lacking. You give to her, she gives to you. That energy is transferable. And if she wanna, if like we said, if she want her foot rubbed, yeah, you might not, that might not be your forte, your thing that you do, but the fact that you do it
And put an
because it's
effort
something
in.
and put an effort into it, that speaks volumes to her.
Yep.
That speaks volumes to her. That's just
Yep.
like she may not like everything that you do,
Yep.
but you do it, she does it, or I should say she does it because it's something that she knows you like.
Yep. There
That's
you
what
go.
that's what communication is about. That's what connection is about. And that's what about clarity is about. If you're clear in the communicating about what it is that you want, what you need. She was clear. Elizabeth was clear about what she needed in that marriage.
Yep.
He
And that's
wasn't clear. Right. He wasn't clear about giving it to her.
yeah.
What she expressed to him that she wanted. He didn't even
Yeah.
express what he wanted.
Yeah. Yep.
He was just about doing his own thing.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So that's
It
what it is. So yeah, that's why I love
we
this
went
movie.
we went over y'all see we normally try to keep it at an hour. We went over because there's so
Yeah,
many gems in here.
yeah,
We got to figure out what movie we're gonna do next, what faith-based inspirational movie we're gonna do next week. But I'm gonna leave it at this. I would love to see a War Room 2 with them mentoring a younger couple who has gone through what they were going through.
yeah. And I think that they kind of ended it a little bit with Elizabeth being Miss Claire.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Her
Like,
her now becoming Miss
yeah,
Clara and mentor and taking on that next woman
yeah. And we
that is
need
having issues. Yeah. And one thing that we didn't
I gotta do another show.
yeah, no, I was gonna say we didn't do the budget in the box office. $3 million
Okay, go ahead.
budget. $3 million budget.
Normally we do that in the beginning.
Yeah. 74 million in the box office, y'all. 3 million
What?
budget. 74 million in the
People don't
box
want to
office.
hear about people don't want to hear
Who,
about God. People don't want to hear about marriage
right.
and relationship.
Who said church folk don't go to the
Them
movies?
buttloads. Come on. The same ones that probably went to Tyler Perry's play, they went on over to the movies after. Because it was boatloads. It was church buses. I remember that when it came out, church buses, it was groups. Everybody was going to see the War Room.
Absolutely.
And normally we start with the budget and the what they made, but I
Yeah.
like that we
Yeah.
ended it with that. That was
Yeah.
perfect. All right. What's
Yeah.
your last words, Leroy, so we can get on out of here?
Three things, and I've been talking about them really quick all week this week. I call them the C-suite, the 5 C's of entrepreneurship, but this actually deals with leadership. I talk about entrepreneurship and leadership: communication, connection, and clarity. That's what I
Boom.
pulled from this movie. Communicate, connect, and be clear. That's what I tell you to be able to do.
Love it. Love it. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to More Than Just a Movie, where we break down classic Black films in a different way. All the month of May, we're going to do spotlight faith-based and inspirational movies as we conclude season 4 of More Than Just a Movie. We have the month of June off, and we're coming back with season 5 in July. But come back next week. This is a special time. Normally, we're Thursdays at 5 p.m. But we are doing it Wednesday today. So next week we will be back at it on Thursday at 5 p.m. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Lenice, and tell a friend. If this is their favorite movie, tell a friend. And hopefully we inspire some people who never saw War Room to want to see it. It's available on Tubi for free. Anything else before we end? Leroy, I'll let you have it.
I think that's it. Make sure they subscribe, like, share, comment, all of that on the channel, y'all. We need y'all to do that. Go on, do it.
Y'all. Thank y'all for watching. Since y'all talked about my book, we're going to end with my book. God bless y'all. Remember, you're a star. Don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Till next time. God bless. Peace,
Make sure you get your copy today on Amazon.com. Give the gift of healing to yourself and the ones you love. Excuse me, your unhealed is showing.
You don't have your book on your website?